Hello, good people. Welcome to the August issue of the Scroll Report, where we go back and look at what was worth scrolling through in the month of July 2025. Did you have a good July 2025? July was midsummer, my favorite time of year. What makes midsummer your favorite time of year, I wonder? Leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you look forward to in the month of July. Is it the long, lazy days, or the beach and barbecue and pool weather? Or is it everybody's in their skimpy outfits? Well, I tell you, my favorite part of midsummer is Shakespeare repertory, right? You know, like Shakespeare in the Park, Shakespeare Free for All. That's really when I first started getting into it. Was back in the 90s when Carter Barron Amphitheater in the middle of Rock Creek Park in downtown TC used to have a Shakespeare Free for All every summer, and mostly Kelly McGinnis participated in that. I particularly remember her performance in As You Like It, because As You Like It is my favorite Shakespeare comedy. This year, though, I got to see the Shakespeare Theater Company and their summer repertory. I saw a production of Shakespeare's King John historical play. Was very impressed with it. It was at the Klein Theater in the Shakespeare Theater Company Academy in downtown DC. The King John is one of Shakespeare's lesser known historical plays, historical tragedies. The team did really great. They were super diverse. And I don't mean just culturally diverse, but they were diverse in their approaches and their setups and their just about everything. It was really good to be immersed in that much in the innovation and differences. One thing they did was to intersperse the play with pop songs and just like do a pop hiatus, and having to do with some revealing something more about the play. And I was kind of thinking maybe that's an interesting way to go. Don't remember much of what they did. They did one Pink Floyd's Money. They did that on one hiatus, and they did the Britney Spears Toxic. Of course, that would have to be on King John. The performances were excellent. Eric Lane, who played King John, I liked a lot because he was a lot of method in what he was doing. There was a lot of Stanislavski in Shakespeare, and that can be a little off-putting. I think it was very difficult for him to maintain his method through a lot of it, and it showed in a few places. But excellent effort and excellent attempt. My favorite performer by far was Molly Malone, who played Constance, Prince Arthur's mother in King John. I think she was the one who made me feel like I was at a Shakespeare play more than everybody else. But everybody else was really good, and I was very happy to have made this. So hopefully you guys get to see some Shakespeare repertory this summer. There's still some left. Let me see. We have Drunk Shakespeare is happening in August. Shakespeare Beyond is happening also in August in the Washington area. In New York City, of course, the famous Shakespeare in the Park at Central Park is also running in through August. So if you're going up to New York City, I urge you to get a ticket to Shakespeare in the Park. What a way to celebrate midsummer. Midsummer is also Independence Day holiday. It's had to make a little room for Juneteenth, so now we really have two Midsummer Independence Day holidays. Which one do you prefer? Is there room in your household for both? Juneteenth and Independence Day? Again, looking for comments. Let us know how you celebrate, which one you prefer to celebrate if one takes precedence over the other. This year, Independence Day was great because it was on a Friday, so it was really like the whole weekend. We always love it when Independence Day is on a Friday or a Monday and it kind of pulls in the rest of the week with it. So that's nice. July was also Jaws' 50th birthday. You know, Jaws, the Steven Spielberg shark movie that came out 50 years ago in July. Great movie, wasn't it? Just such a fantastically directed movie. Spielberg just knew how to scare the pants off of you like nobody else can. Really, nobody, in my opinion. And I tell you what, Jaws was still a better movie than much of what came out this year. The summer 2025 movie list was a bust. That Fantastic Four, the fourth remake or third, whatever, it doesn't matter. I mean, I love Pedro Pascal, but am I going to shell out money to go and watch this stuff? Sorry, no. Yeah, July was nuts. It was the craziest month I've seen in, I think, my whole life. It kind of reminded me of that 80s movie, Dark City. Did you ever watch that? It's made by the same guy who made The Crow. In it, these people are living in this strange city that every night they go to sleep, they wake up the next morning, the whole city's been reformatted. I wake up every morning to a whole new world. Now we're living in the days of Juan Crow. And you know what? I try to avoid politics on this vlog. I believe politics is a fool's game that you only win by not playing. And that whole Jeffrey Epstein politics, I am staying the F away from that. Not going to discuss it here. Lots of places you can get information on it if that's your thing. Not mine, sorry. My thing are these clashes in the streets. The stuff that was happening in Los Angeles on Independence Day. It is distressing to see with your own eyes these Gestapo tactics on our streets. Every morning on the way to work, in the morning news. No, it's a lot, and I'm sorry. What it reminds me of is the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850, and I'm afraid that we'll see the same kind of outcome. We're seeing a lot of the patterns starting to match. But just remember, in the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850, mobilized the abolitionist movement. We can mobilize the ICE resistance movement and overthrow this Juan Crow world that we've suddenly found ourselves in. I'll provide some resources in my newsletter about things that you can do to push back on this incredibly fascist move. I'll include some links in the newsletter for resources for people who are working against ICE and are trying to push back against this rightward expansion into our society. I'm including an article from AP about how you can volunteer to protect immigration courts. I have an article from Borderless about how Chicago communities are resisting ICE raids non-violently. And I'm going to provide a link to the Marshall Project's Immigration Nation newsletter to help keep you up to date and informed on the Trump administration's efforts to leverage local and state criminal justice systems to fuel deportations. So it's a finger in the dike, I understand, but it's a way out. Yeah, the snowball's really rolling downhill now. I think July might have been the tipping point for our society. Rebecca Ryan is addressing our housing crisis. JP Morgan Chase is quietly preparing for climate catastrophe, recommending that everybody invest in air conditioning. Yeah, and cancel culture has really been going wild. I think that's kind of weird considering that woke is now officially dead. But here it is. We got people canoodling on a Coldplay kiss cam. We got PBS being slashed into oblivion. Amy Sherrill, the artist who did the portrait of Michelle Obama, has canceled her Smithsonian exhibit. And then there's Stephen Colbert. That was quite a shock, wasn't it? I've been enjoying Stephen Colbert's comedy since he was with The Daily Show back in the early 2000s. I admire that man so much. What a role model. He has the way of taking something that should make you cry and make you laugh. And boy, have I laughed for the last 20 years, maybe. But now it's coming to a close. It's done. And I mean, hey, really, Stephen Colbert has nothing to worry about. He is set for life. He has his legacy. He gave to us. He showed us the way. So, you know, I'm really at this point wanting to let him go. We are in a new world now, a world that's not good enough for Stephen Colbert. Well, thankfully it's good enough for South Park, and they kind of got a little bit of revenge on that. Yeah. So more to say on the whole Paramount merger behind the politics that caused Stephen Colbert's cancellation. But I would like to say to all those people who are really feeling bad about Stephen Colbert's cancellation, rejoice. He's leaving a space for new opportunities. We are living in a new world now. And again, I'm an old man. All I got to do is just stand back and watch you make your mistakes. I can't, do anything more than letting you know that you're making mistakes. Gotta let you learn. And that's what's happening right now. We're really in a new age where new people are taking over. And yeah, I guess they're millennials or Gen Zers. They're people that boomers like me would call not too bright. I get that. Like those Nelk brothers trying to do an interview with Benjamin Netanyahu. But hey, that's who we've got now. And, they screwed up bad with Netanyahu. He just used them for useful idiots. But they learn from that, and they will learn from that, and they're going to come back better. So I'm keeping my eyes on those Nelk boys. I really think that they are doing an okay job for who they are. Little millennials. Well, at least we'll have those two Gen Xers with us for a while. Trey Parker and Matt Stone, founders of South Park and the Book of Mormon and other things like that. They just signed a $1.5 billion deal with Paramount Plus over 5 years. I think that's what gave them the cojones to clap back at the Trump administration so hard on their first episode of the season. They practically daring any retaliation, and I am loving it. But yeah, we're seeing the turning of a page, the curtain rising on a new age, with the groom still waiting at the altar. The groom in this case happens to be one David Ellison, CEO of Skydance Media. He's the Nepo baby of Larry Ellison, the founder of Oracle. And he's the one at the fulcrum of this whole Paramount Plus super merger brouhaha. So what's one to do, really, about all this? I, for one, am not canceling my Paramount Plus subscription. I love Star Trek series too much, and all those classic CBS shows. Anyway, who says you have to be a Nepo billionaire to be a bad billionaire? Just look at Daniel Ek, the CEO of Spotify. His investments in AI drone technology have caused artists to leave Spotify. Two bands, Juju and King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, are removing their music from Spotify over Daniel Ek's investment in AI war drones. But at least Taylor Swift is doing great on Spotify. She just was recognized as the most streamed artist on the music platform last month. So kudos to Ms. Swift. You are the music industry. You know how every episode of the Scroll Report I somehow managed to shoehorn into us that we gotta find a way out? Looking for a way out? Well, I might have found something. There's this book by Anna Kornbluh called Immediacy, or The Style of Too Late Capitalism. It's a very dense read, and the logic is very thick. I was mostly attracted to it by the concept of too late capitalism, which I think kind of accurately defines this new age that we're suddenly finding ourselves in. And the style of our age is immediacy. And I love the way that Kornbluh works with the word media and shows how that word mediates, like art mediates reality for us. And the lack of media is immediacy. When media is no longer mediating, we run into a fight or flight response. And that's what I say is that I'm looking for a way out. That's that immediacy of our too late capitalist age. Yeah, very dense, very full of ideas. Suggestions mostly. I like the one that I like the most is to keep the dialectic open. This is something that we're failing at really bad right now. We don't allow other points of view into our perspectives. The bubble is too solid to push into a tunnel. And so we're left with this sense of immediacy. And we need our media to just immediately just give us a way out. Chase us out if you have to. It's what I'm really looking forward to is this as a paradigm shift in art criticism that I'm hoping will come from this book. I think a lot of it is the way that we're talking to each other. A lot of it is that we're not reminding each other to stop and think, consider, reflect. Let me share a couple of reviews of this book. One from Alexander Galway, author of Uncomputable, Play and Politics in the Long Digital Age. In this book on the poetics of social forms, Kornbluh has expertly diagnosed the contemporary yen for immediacy and imminence, presence and reality, the indistinct blurs and liquid flows of seemingly authentic experience. Taking it all as a kind of social pathology, Kornbluh reads contemporary style through the deterritorializations of hypercapitalism and the crushing lateness of an economic logic that insists on no alternative for society and no future for the planet. What results is a plea for the labor of mediation and an insistence on dialectics as the central mechanism of art and culture. Elena Zupančič, author of Let Them Rot, says this book masterfully exposes the common core of the many different problems and phenomena that we do not necessarily think is related. The imperative of immediacy and its suffocating logic are the hallmarks of what Kornbluh calls too late capitalism. Drawing on philosophy, psychoanalysis, and art, Kornbluh makes a vivid, passionate, and most compelling case for mediation that creates the much needed capacity to imaginatively break with the merely given. An extremely precious book that goes far beyond the purely academic concerns. I believe that this book, Immediacy, the style of too late capitalism, is going to inform my perspective for the rest of my life. I look forward to elaborating on that in future issues of the Scroll Report. Okay, enough of that, as Chen Storm Stout would say. Slow down. Life is to be savored. Let's get on to music, tech, and gaming news. Right off the bat, the great news is that Foundation is back. Apple TV has the 4th season of Foundation starting in July. Fantastic show, still going as good as ever. You're not watching Foundation? Well, now you've got 4 seasons to watch. That's great for you. And guess what? The Commodore 64 is back, baby. And more gamer-fueled than ever with a transparent RGB case. The old 1980s computer, the keyboard, and hardware all in one unit is being resurrected by a YouTuber named Christian Perry Frantic Simpson. He has bought up Commodore and is putting them back out again as fully compatible with the old software and games that made the device such a hit. It comes in the $300 basic beige and goes all the way up to a $550 transparent RGB lit unit. It's all in pre-order now, so prices could go up. So I'd say, hey, if you got an old box full of these old Commodore 64 cartridges up in your attic, bring them down, blow them out, get this new toy and bring them back to life. Pitchfork.com has put out its best music of 2025 so far. Can't really recognize a lot of people on here, making me wonder. I can recognize like Bad Bunny. Let's see who else. Lady Gaga. Let's see, Skrillex. Let's see, Bon Iver, I recognize. I think that's about it for all of these things here. So if you're familiar with a lot of this music that's on Pitchfork.com, Aesop Rock, Lido Pimienta, Addison Rae, that one kind of rings a bell, Anastasia. Drop me a line, give me a call. We'll put you in the Scroll Report and you can review some of this music for the rest of us. I'd really appreciate it. Hey, that's this Lyra Pamuk. Yeah, really, if you know these guys, get in touch. Thank you in advance. IGN Entertainment has released a 2025 Gaming Trends Report, the forefront of what's next in gaming. A couple of insights. One that's a no-brainer is that mobile gaming is completely smashing every other market sector and will continue to do so. There's also UGC dominance, which is user-generated content for games like Fortnite, Skins, and Roblox. I tell you, I do not understand that Roblox game at all. Anyway, I guess that's a youngster thing, they like the low res of it or something. But anyway, it's full of user generated content, and I can see the fun in that. The last part about the report is powering what IGN calls powering pop culture. I look at it more like Kornblth's immediacy. So we'll take a look at that. But I think one of the takeaways that interests me is like game loyalty is developing now that we have games that have been out and been running for more than 20 years. People are tending to be rabid fans. Like myself, I'm a World of Warcraft fan. That's pretty much the only game I'm playing anymore, or at least playing with the intensity that I used to when I was younger. And people are like Call of Duty fans or anything along those lines. I guess the Minecraft group and that Roblox crew. It's yeah, becoming a lot of brand loyalty, I think, which is fascinating considering how few companies really own all of the different properties in gaming. And lastly, we have a story that reinforces why we need a Stop Killing Games movement. Apple has removed a 9-year-old visual novel called Wheels of Aurelia from its Apple Store because they claim it hasn't been updated in a while. But the developers, Santia Ragioni, replied that it didn't need updating and would demand very significant resources solely to refresh the engine and software development kit without providing meaningful enhancements to user experience or artistic value. But Apple said, it hasn't been updated, so out you go. And guess what? Wheels of Aurelia are now gone. It's gone, never to return to the Apple Store. This is what happens. I don't know what we're going to do about Wheels of Aurelia in particular, but I do think that we need to sign on to a whole lot more Stop Killing Games initiatives to keep gems like this in our common property. So there you have it. The Scroll Report for July 2025. A watershed month in the year that probably is a turning point for our civilization. Let's keep hanging in there. I invite you to check out my graphic design tutorial that I just put out. It's how to create a table of contents in Adobe InDesign. I'm putting out the call again for comments in any format. If you want to put comments here, send me an email, contact me on tonymcfarlane.com. Hey, if you know how to get a hold of me personally, reach out. I'd love to hear from you. I'm on Facebook now, so contact me there. I am looking for any content that you would like to contribute to the Scroll Report. Videos, emails, long form, short form. Give me a call. Let's talk. I could use some help. Would you like to help edit the Scroll Report on a monthly basis? I could use some help with that too. Reach out if you'd like to. Be a part of the Scroll Report. A follow-up newsletter is coming out this Tuesday with links to everything that I discussed. There's a link to subscribe to that newsletter in the description below, so make sure that you subscribe before Tuesday so that you can get the follow-up newsletter to this vlog. So thanks again for watching. I still just have one more thing to say. Please listen to this carefully. Are you familiar with the lanternfly? You've been seeing a lot of them flying around, big red spotted moths. You've probably heard authorities telling you that it's okay to squash them. Well, it's not. It's killing. It's murder. Think about it. Just stop and think for one fucking minute. all of our moral precepts are based on the idea that thou shalt not kill. There are plenty of belief systems that extend that mandate to our insect brethren. And look, I know it's a small little thing. And hey, it's an invasive species. But the state never has the authority to tell you that it's okay to kill. Never has, never will. So, down with Deus Vult and up with Deus Non-Volt. Exercise some compassion. If you really want to do something about these invading lanternflies, turn your outdoor lights off. Bats love these guys. They make a good meal for some of our animals. So the bats don't find the lanternflies because it's too bright in your backyard. Turn off the lights and those lanternflies will disappear. I guarantee it. But all the same, don't go squashing bugs just because they're bugs. Next thing you know, the state's going to tell you that it's okay to detain and deport immigrants. Do you see how short that line actually is? Anyway, I'm sorry if it turned into a lecture. And just leave this report today with down with Deus Vult, up with Deus Non-Volt. Thank you again for your eyes on the Scroll Report. Have an excellent August, and I hope I hear from you. Bye now.